story. Once upon a time, there lived this big town, and it was huge, and it was very colorful, and it was someplace that you would probably want to go for vacation. However, though, although the crowd was very the people were very proud of their town. It was huge of like different colors, many colors, different types of things, and here's something about the geography that was got there. So here's a city, here's a big swamp, and here's like this beach. That, well, if you live in a beach, wouldn't you kind of want to vary on the weekends? So the humans normally would like to go, but because the swamp is so vast, they had to go through a route. And this caused one day the humans to get very frustrated. We want to get to the beach in 30 minutes, not 1 hour. We have to find a faster possible road. My children want to get to the beach faster. Those were the words that the humans were chanting, and they were screaming, and well, they weren't really happy. So the mayor, he was speechless, and he said, well, I guess we must drain our swamp. And well, the people cheered. And well, as the swamp got drained, the colors slowly began to fade. Colors like red, purple, pink, yellow, green, especially green. Other colors like blue. You know, all those colors that you would normally consider very cheerful. They all began to fade. And well, because the houses were white, to like not be like really colorful, and the roads were kind of gray, it all kind of turned into a gray bunch. And to make it even worse, many animals died because they didn't have enough water. And well, when an animal is dead, normally it will give out horrible smells. So the town began to also smell bad. And it all faded because of an improvement. And how I like to call it, an improvement. So, did you like it? Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Of course.
So, I did a survey on a few people, and these were the results. So, in case you didn't get it, it was about either draining the swamp or saving the swamp. So, as you can see, our future leaders have actually picked that swamps are bad, and well, they shouldn't really exist. And well, no. And so it means that our future leader, which is many of you guys girls, have said that swamps are horrible, and I feel like something is wrong with our perspective. And now after you hear a little bit more about swamps, you're gonna for sure agree with me. For starters, swamps make a lot of biodiversity in many countries. According to the Biodiversity Organization of the Government of Trinidad and Tobago, the Los Nariva swamp supports them with a lot of different wildlife. And it's also the fundamental habitat for many animals like the West Indian manatee, which are pretty important animals. And not to forget that they include over 175 different bird species, which are like parrots, macaws, like not different birds, but like different bird species. So that's a lot. And many people have recently drained swamps to fight against like malaria. But aren't there better ways to fight against malaria? According to Parkland Historical Society, they drained the Everglades, or they drained a little bit of the Everglades for farm work. And here's why that would be horrible. Because if we drain the Everglades, which are a pretty visited site in Florida, that'll get them less income from tourism, which is something that many countries count on. So if they lose more tourism, they're going to get less money. And well, using the money, they improve their places. So if their place does not improve and instead goes down, why would people want to go for it? So we do not want and I like to call this cycle as economical depression. And economical depression is horrible. And not to mention that if you drain the Everglades for farm work, it's also going to waste more money, not only draining them, but also building. So you're pretty much wasting money and earning less. So yeah, that's the whole thing. So salt swamps are commonly created all around tropic and humid areas, but they rarely even get to their fullest. So if you drain the already full ones, we're going to face a lot of problems, and this is why. Swamps do a lot of important roles here. So they prevent floods from like towns because they have this So if there's a flood and like it's near a swamp, it's probably because it was raining extremely hard, which is extremely unlikely. Very rarely happens. They also clean our air and give us more oxygen. And why is that? Because trees, as many of you might already know, they turn carbon dioxide into oxygen. And if they do that, that means that they give us more oxygen. So many people here are talking about things like air pollution. So that's a possible way to get rid of air pollution, not completely, but to help sustain our air, our clean oxygen and everything. So yeah. However though, they also help us because they help doing things like reproduce different species, like nesting birds. For example, in the rivers there's a lot of fish, and well, they feed on fish and they would like stay on the swamps because it's very good. Maybe on like the treetops, because swamps are like small, like something like what you would like to call a flood, which has some like trees and all. So they might live in the trees, and inside this whole body of water, there can be a lot of different fish. So, according to Ranger.org, wetlands in like general have disappeared. Like 64% of them have disappeared since 1900. And because wetlands include lots of fresh water, imagine all the fresh water we could have had if we wouldn't have drained all those swamps for farm work. If we wouldn't have, we would have probably had more fresh water and we would have less problems. So, also, wetlands, because they include a lot of fresh water, they can all, because as I said before, they clean our air and our water. Well, they don't really clean the water, but they help produce cleaner water and yeah. So swamps are very important ecosystems, as you have probably already heard. To destroy them is to destroy our whole future. Instead of making the land work with us, why don't we work with the land? Are cities really the best strategy to store us, or can we just blend in our towns? Bye, and don't forget, swamps matter. Thank you. Humans have created a monster. It's following us everywhere. And to give you a clue, imagine you were a pelican. You see a school of fish. And as you dive down, you see a mysterious door. Then boom, suddenly you're plummeted toward the water. You've been badly hit in the wind. As you hit the water, you think, caw. You cannot swim, you drown. Die. This is just one example of the massacres of birds that have been caused by this monster. Now I would like you to think about what caused this. But first, who would like to say renewable energy? Show of hands, please.
Huh?
Who would like sustainable energy? Show of hands, please.
Sustainable energy.
Solar energy. Go back to my previous question. These massacres of birds were caused by windmills. Yes, sustainable energy caused this. I'm about to give you some more examples. Biofuel. Gross. Technically not a fossil fuel. Bad. Unsanitary and is similar to using coal. And it's poop. Come on, people. It's poop.
Okay, guys.
You drink poop.
What?
Solar energy. Pros.
today. Cons. Dangerous to make, and can heat up to the point where, in some cases, it can literally burn birds out of the air. Hydroelectric dams. Roads. Renewable source of energy, and in an dam can also function as a road, serving two purposes in one. Bad. Keeps fish from breeding grounds and causes sound pollution. Plus, if you forget to put a synchronizer into it, it can cause a mass blackout. This is the monster humans have created. This is what needs to be stopped. Renewable energy is good, but it can also cause issues. Now, this is basically for the adults. You might believe that children need to learn to stop this. They do, but adults need to start now too. Painted windows yellow, protect birds, building fish ladders, protesting the building of solar panels, or just trying to develop new ways to build these things are all ways we can try to stop this. So, is it time to domesticate this monster? Yes or no? Thank you.
Everybody, I'm Emma. You were probably thinking, why am I wearing a trash bag? Well, this is how our animals look to each other and how they feel. By that, you can probably guess I'm going to talk about pollution. Well, I am going to talk about pollution and how it can affect not only our surroundings, but also us. When I say pollution, you are probably thinking of water pollution, air pollution, and maybe even sometimes oil spills. Well, today I will be highlighting some other types of pollution that are also important, like light pollution, soil contamination, radioactive contamination, thermal pollution, and noise pollution. But today I'm just going to talk about three of those: light pollution, radioactive contamination, and noise pollution. Light pollution is the excessive presence of man-made artificial light in the night sky. Some of these things that can happen because of the cause of light pollution are many risks of bad health for the excess of light, which are the consequences that are made by not sleeping well. Some of these consequences are getting sick easily because the body does not have enough power or energy needed. The body not working well because of the loss of sleep and being really tired constantly when working with the brain. Another example of light pollution and how it affects us and animals are how this affects nocturnal animals. The excess of light in their made for the night eyes can be harmful for this type of animals, such as owls. The excess of light is also bad for producing money. As we all know, the light we use, the electricity we pay. So the more light, the more money wasted, the more we have to work to pay for it. As much light as used, the less we can enjoy our beautiful night sky with our stars, beautiful stars, which will be a huge change to the environment. Now, radioactive contamination. Radioactive contamination is divided into two different groups, natural and man-made. Radioactive contamination, also called radiological contamination, and it is the contamination of the environment with radioactive materials come out where these materials are not present. Many nuclear power plants produce such substances. Usually they are processed to radioactive waste. For last type of pollution, noise pollution. The human ear can normally tolerate noise up to 8.5 decibels without life-threatening damages. Anything louder than 6.5 decibels can produce health consequences, such as increased blood pressure, increased heart rate, and even stress hormones from our blood. Once this damage to our ear is done, it can't be fixed. So let's all help our earth and stop pollution. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mercedes. Today I'm going to talk about something very important to me, friendship. See this? Me and my friends will usually transport normal objects into something very cool. For example, this book was a spell book. This is not a speech about imagination. This is a speech about friendship. But can friendship be related to imagination? Yes. You may be asking yourself, how? Well, imagine it this way. Two or more friends are at the park. They're bored. Then they suddenly start playing. How this happened? They actually share their ideas from their imagination so they can not be bored anymore. Mayo Clinic says that friendship is very important for your health. I also found out how to be a good friend. First, you need to give them some space if they don't feel comfortable. Try to cheer them up if you try to cheer them up. Try to make them laugh sometimes. If they laugh, that will help they're gonna laugh so much that they're gonna forget about their problems. There are more ways to be a good friend, but I think these two are the most important ones. Friendship should be as strong as Hulk, as strong as Happy Marble, and as strong as Jane. But why? Check this out. A true friend is someone you trust, someone that will be there no matter what the situation is, someone that won't judge you, and they love you because they chose you. We're almost at the end, but I want to tell you a mini story of a good friend. Once I went to a park with my friends. We were playing and suddenly everything fell down. We had a huge fight. This fight was with the little brother of my friend. This fight was till the next day, but we solved it. That is a good friend. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is bullying. For the ones that don't know what bullying is making you feel comfortable each day, over and over and over again. There are many types of bullying, but for me, the most common ones are at school and on internet. Maybe you're asking, how can they bully each other? I think they're friends. Well, that happens when you're playing, and sometimes the thing he or she are saying it's not very comfortable, like shouting or screaming at night to you. Thanks to all that are here, this TED Talk was very special. I really wanted, since a little kid, to talk about the thing that I'm most concerned about, friendship. Before I finish, I want to tell you a question to think. Am I being a really good friend? If you are, try better each day, and you're gonna get better. If you need to try better, try and try and try. You're gonna get better. Thanks for listening.
Hello everyone, my name is Golden and I'm going to start off with a question. Who here has trees? Raise your hand. For the ones who hated trees, you're really weird. Trees keep us alive. We all know that we cut down trees to make materials. But did you know how much trees we cut down? We cut down 7 billion trees each year. Trees are one of the main sources that suck up CO2. Trees suck up 2.3 tons of CO2 per year. CO2 stands for carbon dioxide. It is a waste gas we produce and the gas that factories make every time they burn fossil fuels. One example of that is coal. Cutting them down means less CO2 is reduced from the atmosphere.
To make things worse, most trees are burned down, which makes even more CO2. Today I want to talk to you about why we need to protect and plant more trees. We make thousands of things with trees. One of the biggest examples is paper. How many paper do you think you use every day? How about every year? Let's say you use 5 pieces of paper every day. In a year, that is 365 days. So if you multiply that, in 1 second, what would it be? 825 paper per year, which adds up over time.
I don't know. 1,800.
Another way we use trees is for boxes, for moving. We also use it to make furniture, like tables. You can also burn it to keep warm, or burn it to make charcoal. Even the stage I'm standing on is made out of wood. Using trees is a good thing, but sometimes we use it too much. One reason we're cutting down so many trees is because of growing human population. The more people that there are in the world, the more they will want to buy more and more things, like things made out of trees. Another reason why we're cutting down so many trees is because we need more land for farms and cities. Trees do more than just sucking off CO2 and releasing oxygen. They also protect us from UV rays, the rays that come with the light from the sun. As the atmosphere is getting thinner, more and more UV rays are coming through. The shade from trees help protect us. They also help calm us down and lower our stress and blood pressure levels, which has almost nothing to do with this, but I'm just letting you know. Trees and other plants also help prevent erosion. This is important because on farms, erosion causes nutrients to be removed from the soil. Also, when erosion happens, all those good things end up in rivers and creeks and make lots of allergies. Allergies are bad because they stop sunlight from coming through. Clearly we need trees, but there are solutions. We can help plant more trees ourselves, or we can donate money to companies or organizations that protect trees. We can also join together and force the government to change laws about trees. Also, we can cut down less trees if we recycle. There are many ways, and you can help too. You can help stop global warming, climate change, and some natural disasters just by protecting trees. Thank you for the time.
There are many factories in the world. Most of the factories produce air pollution. And in the world, if our planet, our home, and our families want to keep living, then you must stop air pollution. In many countries, air pollution is like a virus that gives people cancer, asthma, and it can cause even death. According to the U.S. National Library of Medicine, air pollution is made of solid particles and gases in the air. This impacts our noses, mouths, and eyes. That's where pollution has the most impact. It can even make you blind. Your nose and your mouth are connected, and as you breathe,
This can cause cancer. It's like when someone smokes, but worse. According to the World Health Organization, 9 out of 10 people are breathing polluted air. They also say that 7 million people die per year because air pollution. That's almost everyone in Panama times 2 dying per year because of pollution of Panama is only about 4 million people. Wow. I can't believe there's that much pollution. And some people don't even care about it. Some people think Earth can just take care of everything like normal, like nothing ever happened. But no, the Earth can't take care of everything. We all should be taking care of Earth. It's where we live. Air pollution is also impacting plants. Smoke is like clouds, but they're bad. They cover the sunlight and then the plants don't get as much light and it's like they can't breathe. That keeps them from making the food that they need. The plants die or don't grow as well. This can cause world hunger because the plants aren't producing as much food as they're supposed to for humans. Air pollution also impacts animals, especially those that live in tall trees and fly around. That's mainly birds. Researchers in India found that air pollution goes up to 800 meters above the ground. That this is impacting all animals. The more air pollution, the more it is hurting animals, plants, and humans. For us to stop air pollution, we need to clean the source. That means cars, buses, factories, and burning garbage needs to be stopped or to be changed. There's lots of technology these days. They can create cars that don't cause air pollution, that don't let smoke come out, and it doesn't cause anything bad to happen. As kids, we can convince adults and the ones that care will do something to make a change. Also saving on energy, using bikes, walking, or even running. Doing exercise is better to our health and can help us start the day properly. For example, our bus drivers can also come into school while waiting for the kids to, instead of sitting in the buses with them running and then come out and turn the buses on 2 minutes before kids arrive. So then they use less air pollution and less gas goes into the air. This will save us on gasoline and put less contamination into the air. Now that you know all this information about air pollution, I hope you're encouraged and inspired to at least try to stop air pollution and make a difference. #change. Thank you for hearing my speech.
Hello, my name is Mariana and I'm going to talk about water pollution. So according to Rebecca Harrington of the magazine Business Insider, they say that by 2050 there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean. And that is because of us, humans. We consume too much plastic in our daily life and we are not thinking about how can that hurt other people.
We should stop, and that is like a type of cycle because we are consuming too much plastic. Let me explain what I mean by a cycle. This is a picture I made. It is showing the plastic cycle. It starts from plastic pieces, then it breaks down into microplastic, and then fish think that that is food. So then, like you can see, fish eat the plastic thinking that's food. Then we humans eat the fish thinking it's normal food, but in real life it has things that are hurting ourselves. There's your result. We are hurting ourselves. My goal is to make people change their minds about this. I want them to stop consuming too much plastic so we can save our planet and make it a better place to live. This picture is taken by top marine debris items. There are some of the most found items on the oceans, and the one most affected are the plastic materials. This is because it takes 450 years or more for a plastic breakdown. Let's look at this more specifically. For example, India has big problems with plastic waste. The country creates 50 million tons of plastic each day. That's like throwing away 7,500 elephants worth it's about plastic. Every single day, think about how much that would be for a month, for a week, for a year, or maybe for your age. A lot of this plastic ends up in the oceans. Some of it floats toward. Companies produce 100 million tons of plastic every year, and as much as 40 million tons of plastic enter the ocean. Some people think that plastic is important for packing food and blocking dirty area or bacteria, so they use the plastic to protect food or other reasons. Also, people should start taking action because humans dispose 91% of plastic rather than recycling. A good thing is that 40% of all straws in our world are from plastic and the other percent are from other materials. For example, turtles can get this stuck in their nostrils, other animals can eat them, and straws can cause die or can cause them to get sick. Another reason people should stop consuming too much plastic is that animals are getting stuck on the plastic when they are swimming. Once a turtle finds a plastic bag, thinking that's a delicious jellyfish for them because the leather bags the turtles eats jellyfish. If the turtle eats the plastic bag, thinking that's a jellyfish, it can get sick or die because of the materials that we use for building the plastic bags. Around 8.8 million tons of plastic ends up in the water. Imagine all of that plastic, ocean, animals having it, and also birds on the beach. When they found the microplastics, they are eating thinking that they're food because they're looking for food and they find that colorful things thinking that's food. It's super bad for poor animals because like we are making them live like in a trash can but of plastic waste. For example, over 1 million animals are killed because of plastic. 100,000 million marine creatures a year die because of plastic entanglements, like wrapper up with plastic wrappers. Approximately 1 million seabirds also die from plastic. Did you know that plastic bag can kill numerous animals because they take so long to disintegrate? Plastic items can take up to 1 million years to decompose in landfills, but plastic bags we use in our daily lives can take 10,000 years to decompose, while bottles can take 450 years or more to decompose. It gives time to animals find the trash and thinking that's plastic, that's food instead of plastic. We can stop consuming too much plastic by using some recycling bags, or when we go to the supermarket, or when we are cooking with oil, instead of buying some plastic materials of our food, we can find, like with the oil, instead of plastic bottles, we can find glass bottles. These bottles take less time to disintegrate. That's why they're preferable to use. There are some more ways we can stop consuming too much plastic. There are much more, but these are the most common that we are consuming too much plastic. So So think, how much plastic do you use? Do you need to use that much? Think about why do you need all that plastic and now make a change. Thank you.
Imagine a neighborhood where everyone is always outside playing and working. They didn't have any technology at the time to cool the house or television to watch, so they did everything outside. But one day, technology came out. They had air conditioning, stoves, cell phone, computers, and everything they needed outside. Inside. The neighborhood spirit was falling, and no more fun between people happened, and nobody else went outside. Everything happened inside with technology. I'm Anthony, and today I will talk about how technology affects us. Now, I want to clarify, technology is not only phones and tablets, but also microwaves, fridge, vacuum cleaners, and almost everything else that is electronic. Now, one thing you can miss out is fun. Always being on technology uses up all of your time. You set your limit to 30 minutes a day, but you spend 2 hours on your cell phone. After the 30 minutes you plan to go outside with friends, but you missed it. Now, you might say you play online with friends, but you don't really play with them. They're just a character next to you speaking in a mic. You miss out on real fun because nothing in your brain is working to engage you with someone else. They're not present next to you. You do not interact in reality, and you're not building social skills with other people. You're basically not playing with them. This is my evidence. I made a survey asking, what do you do when you come back home? 54% of you all responded that you go on any device. And 35% of you said that in your free time, you play or watch something on your device. And 30% said that you went to play video games. In all, that's 82% going on technology in their free time. That's one downside of technology, but let's visit more. Now, we'll see the downsides for your body, both physical and psychological. The physical part is that your body becomes less active because of technology. Here's some examples. You do not have to run outside to play because you have entertainment in your house. You do not have to cook anymore because a culinary robot does everything for you. No need to focus, move your hands, or read a recipe. It does all. Another thing that may happen is that since you don't have enough activities, your muscles and other organs will not have what they need to grow. So, you see, your body is much less active because we replace everything you do normally with your body with technology. Now, the psychological downsides. Like I said, a culinary robot does everything for you, so you do not have to read any more recipe. Your brain doesn't work. Also reading, we now have ebooks, and the blue light of the screen affects your brain. You also do not have to turn pages or move your eyes to read. Gaming is even worse, especially violent games. It affects your brain by addicting you, and some other downsides happen when playing a lot of violence games, like distraction, narcissism, and even depression. Video game can cause other physical issues like vision problem, hearing loss, neck strain, said the Mental Health Foundation. Now, I feel less like being on technology. How can you avoid these problems? Well, stop relying on technology to entertain yourself and help your daily life. You can walk or bike to your friend's house instead of texting. And if they're available, perfect. And if not, at least you did exercise. And texting, you can wait hours before getting your response. A story to prove it. I live in Embassy Club and lots of friends live close. When I want to play with a friend, I call up to my mom and she says I can text. But I'm like, no, I can walk to go there. I get exercise and I get an immediate response. Another guarantee that it will be good. Play a board game or go play outside. Stop relying on technology and go play outside. This is what you can do to not become addicted to technology. Now, I do not want you to think that technology is bad, but I say we start to abuse and rely too much on it. We can miss out on fun stuff and get physical issues and psychological issues. Abusing technology is bad for yourself and other people. Albert Einstein stated that humans have obviously abused the use of technology back in the 20th century. Thank you.
Have you ever wondered how many fossil fuels have been extracted and burned, or why we still use fossil fuels even though we have this amazing technology nowadays? Well, according to The Guardian, keep it in the ground. Since the start of 2015, 158,871,242,023 barrels of oil have been extracted, 39,617,955,337 tons of coal, 16,907,520,856,235 cubic meters of gas have been extracted from this earth. I know, that is a lot. My name is Liam, and I will talk about why we need to use less fossil fuels and more renewable energy. The first way to prove that we need to stop using fossil fuels is because it has a bad impact on all living creatures, including us. Imagine if we ran out of fossil fuels on Earth. All fossil fuel energy plants would fail. All cars would stop running. And we wouldn't be able to barbecue on coal barbecues.
Or I'd even have to talk like this.
Life would just be so much worse. If we accelerate our reliance on renewable energy sources, life would just be so much better. Not having to worry about the gas stove, not worrying about a gas station has a leak, etc. It won't just impact humans, but also land and sea animals will also be affected. So when I say sea, I mean, let's say there's a big oil tanker going to another market to bring the oil, and a little rock punctures a hole. The oil spills out, and sometimes it sinks down to the bottom of the ocean. And that oil, petroleum, is like a nuclear bomb to coral and all creatures around that. And when I say land, I also mean by like coal power plants. When they create the smoke, the clouds collect them, and they create acid rain, which can damage plants, ecosystems, and lakes for different amphibians. We also need to stop the use of fossil fuels because they take a lot of space as power plants. They need big generators, they need big cooling chambers, they need big storage. And they also need big burning holes to burn the actual fossil fuels. The mines also take up a lot of space. They have to have a massive safety area just in case if something burns or something catches on fire and explodes. They also need a big to small, and not small to small, because if not, the dirt or land can collapse. They also take up a lot of space as in storage. They need to store them in small containers, spread apart, because if they store them in a big container, if there's a small spark, the whole thing explodes and becomes a lot of power. Fossil fuels also cost a lot of money. You can go bankrupt. How much money do you spend on fossil fuels and gas? On top of that, the companies sell their fossil fuels for too much money. The average American spends $2,000 on gas annually just for their car to run. According to Earth 911, that's a lot. And also, did you know if you switch to an electric car, you can save $672 per year just to run it. And as a bonus, you get to pay less taxes. Your country can also go bankrupt. The government spends way too much money on energy. Although we spend a little bit compared to other spendings, we can reduce that by switching to renewable energy. At the start, it may seem like we're paying too much because you have to pay more short-term to get everything established, and then you can pay less long-term to keep it going. You also need to pay more for cleanups and medical issues.
The extraction also costs way too much. It costs $120 billion annually to extract fossil fuels worldwide. Plus, when there's occasional accidents in the mines, that costs additional money to repair and pay for healthcare for workers. We need to stop the use of fossil fuels. It's damaging our earth. It's killing our own species. It's also killing the plants and animals that live here. And most importantly, it's causing global warming. Why do we keep doing this? Just why? We're killing our own species, and we're killing the only planet that we have. Thank you. I have this counter loading, and this is counting how many barrels of oil, tons of coal, and cubic meters of gas have been extracted from the earth throughout my whole entire talk.
So thank you all very much.